Okay, so we are going to go over the drum re-inking process on the GRs. So right now we have Federal Blue in, one of our problem drums. We're also having problems with Bright Red. But here is how you can sort of make these drums work or help them out with working. So right now the problem with Federal Blue is that the pump is not pulling ink well enough into the drum. That's a thing that long term I'm going to try to work on, but we have to replace the pump, so it's going to be a slow going process. But for now, the hack that you can do is, with the drum in, I'm going to turn on the Rezo while holding these two buttons, the LP and the MP buttons. That's going to start us up in test mode. So we start up test mode, we have a nice little 0 on the screen. Then with test mode, in test mode, I can do all this with the door open. So I'm just going to leave the door open, and I'm going to be pushing in on the center of the plunger in here while doing this inking action test mode. But because the plunger is back in there and I can't reach it real easy, I'm going to use this little pipe tool, which normally lives inside the Rezo Tools drawer of that little flat file set. So the end of this is hollow and fits right over the end of the spindle of this plunger inside the ink tube. So I'm going to apply, again, light pressure on this. And while doing that, I'm punching in test mode 101. That's the inking action test mode. I'm going to hit start, and I'm going to apply light pressure while it's doing this. Now that's the sound of the ink pump on the GRs. So I should be able to push in on this to provide some support, and I can also feel the ink, the tube moving in a little bit as I do that. So the Rezo has pumped enough ink that it thinks there's now enough ink in the drum. It's making a new stencil. It's going to wrap that around the drum, and then it's going to spin 30 times. And I'm going to wait for that process to finish. Now, normally when you are printing with the drum, it will also start like losing some of its inking because of this pumping issue. But if you desperately need to print with it, and this is like secret shopkeeper only knowledge, you can also provide some like manual support to the pump while it's printing. To do that, you'll need to have access to this area, so you'll need to have the door open. And in order to print with the door open, so that you can be pushing in while it's printing, you can take this little metal tab stored down here and click it to the magnet. Then the Rezo will think the door is closed, and you can have it open and be pushing in to support the ink pump while it's printing out. But again, I wouldn't do this with most people. This is just if you need to use Federal Blue or Bright Red for something and are having the issue where it's drying out really fast, maybe try this technique. We'll let it finish doing its 30 spins to see how our drum looks when it's done. There we go. Great. User is happy. Let's pull the drum out, and yeah, we have a nice little inked drum again. Now again, this probably won't last all that long depending on what you're printing. I don't know how many prints you'll get out of this, maybe 50, maybe 100 before it starts drying up again. But that is when I would do the trick where you are printing with the door open and you are just applying a little additional force on the inside of the ink tube in there. Cool.